Welcome in, welcome back to another edition of I actually still make videos out here. With that in mind, just quickly before we get into the video for today, I just want to thank everyone who supported me. I won't go into details here, but folks who know, I made a comment on my community channel as well as in Discord and a couple other places, but have just been dealing with some life struggles the past couple months and has taken me out of the content creation game. But recently, I have gotten some good news, some things have worked in my favor, and I'm hoping to return very soon. And a part of that return is actually some pretty cool news that we got today about the upcoming Fireteam Finder. If you haven't already, definitely go check out the other videos we've already done about Fireteam Finder and LFGs and things that we personally think about here on this channel and our community about what will work best for the D2 community. Again, we are well aware about the layoffs and the other terrible things that have been going on at the organization. We're hoping to cover that in a different video, but for now, we just want to tackle what is on the horizon for the Fireteam Finder function, aka the LFG in-game function for D2. Let's go ahead and dive in. Dev Insights, Fireteam Finder beta first look. This just happened today. Hey everyone, today we're updating everyone on where we're at with getting Fireteam Finder to you. Shipping features, but in secret. Shh. Social features are difficult to prove at scale inside of a studio. You need hundreds of thousands of people to properly test them. I think that's probably especially difficult given the layoffs at Bungie. Even our largest internal playtest will only reach a fraction of what the final player counts will be once the feature goes live. Typically, we'll run a Bungie beta for a social feature before it goes live to gain confidence in our releases. In a Bungie beta, we limit access to employees with some aspects of the feature live in the public game for all Destiny 2 players so that we can test it out. In the past, we've done this for cross-save, Bungie Friends List, and crossplay. If folks remember when we actually did have the cross-save and cross-play betas, it definitely was very much needed to have those betas. So if you've been in the community long enough, you definitely know that these betas can actually be a really huge and significant place of data and information to give feedback to the devs. Famously, we may have let everyone in on our crossplay Bungie beta for a day or two, allegedly. Oops. Yeah, so there was a kind of fumble on that. But again, it was still good data that Bungie was able to utilize and I think ultimately make crossplay a really good experience. Well, everyone defines a good experience differently. A very public Bungie beta. We've made a ton of progress on Fireteam Finder, including on many of the unexpected technical challenges, and have come to a fork in the road with a difficult choice to make. One, push the release of Fireteam Finder even later, or two, have a much more public version of our Bungie beta. Again, just a reminder for folks, we're well aware about the layoffs, and again, it's very terrible. We're still sending our thoughts and prayers out to folks who were affected and hoping that they're able to secure new jobs soon. And a part of that is the fact that with 8% less of their workforce available to be working on the game and working on features like this, it makes it really challenging for them to put out a quality product, right? Again, I think a lot of us will be in agreement that we'd rather have no LFG in-game feature rather than a really crappy feature, right? And so being able to be in a space where we're giving Bungie a little bit of grace with the devs that are still at Bungie, that are still working their butts off to get us the content that we really want. And again, a lot of us really want Bungie senior leadership to be held accountable. And we also want the devs to have the free reign to be able to put together a really solid game for all of us to enjoy and play. And a part of that is, less workforce means, it's going to be harder to put out, quality content like a Fireteam Finder. In addition to, if folks remember a couple months back, they already warned us that this was going to be a really hefty endeavor to try and get this in game and have everything synced up and have it a really good experience. So knowing that, they're actually going to pull together a beta for us to all test out the new features. We've decided it's better to bring you along for the ride rather than make you wait. We hope you agree. Welcome to the party. So the first thing that we see right here, again, this is very similar. If you watch the final shape reveal trailer and then all of the content that we got in the showcase, you actually are pretty familiar with the scene already. So we know you're going to have access to all the different aspects of the game to be able to create an LFG for, again, whether it's Vanguard playlists, whether it's doing campaign runs, whether it's raids, whatever the case may be. I think one of the biggest things that folks wanted, but also were very concerned about, is the fact that dungeons and raids, in-game materials, including in-game PvP, are some of the more challenging things to try and match up for, either from a sense of people potentially being toxic and just, kicking people off fire teams for, just unreasonable reasons, or just the fact that it just would be really difficult to find people who would meet your skill set. Again, you can't be out here asking for somebody with 40,000 clears of a raid, right? That's unreasonable. No one's had 40,000 clears, right? So how do you find that balance between like having someone who's qualified to help you get the clear for a raid or a dungeon, or to help you get to ascended in PvP, with all without also being, a jerk about it. So again, this screen is just to kind of show the different variations of what you can get on the site and look for. They go on to say, Fireteam Finder beta goals: prove that Fireteam Finder scales to millions of players, protect the start of the Season of the Witch, protect the dungeon launch, be nimble, example, reserve the ability to accelerate or halt the beta test based on new information, deliver a first-class Fireteam Finder for all activities by the final shape. Example, adhere to a schedule of multiple testing phases that progressively refine the new feature. So again, you see right here, the main goals are for Bungie to be able to give us an experience where, again, if you're familiar with the Destiny 2 companion app, yes, there's a Fireteam. Well, it's not Fireteam Finder, but there is an LFG Finder tool in the actual native app. But again, it's very disjointed from the actual app that you have to download and use on your phone and, log in with your Bungie ID and all that good stuff, and then actually translating that to the game. Yes, you can invite people to be a part of your fire team, and there's some connections there, but it's not as fluid as just going into the game. Like a lot of MMORPG games, being able to, inside the game that you've already loaded up, whether on console or PC, and then be able to say, hey, I want to create a fire team, I want to find people, or I just want to jump into a random fire team. So being able to have this, prove that's going to scale up to the millions of players. Again, there are millions of Guardians around the world. We know that currently player counts, because of everything, morale in the community is very low. So there's actually not a lot of players. But in terms of registered accounts, there are millions of registered accounts. And also knowing that the start of season 24 is around the horizon, and knowing that the season 24, Season of the Wish, new seasons always bring in new content, and always bring in new players. We don't know the extent of how many new players, but we know that the beta test will be a good opportunity to kind of stress test a little bit, especially since we will be getting a new dungeon. They go on to say the beta plan: raids stress test November 30th from 9 a.m. PST to 5 p.m. PST. Beta period begins in December pending stress test results. Full release targeting late January. So again, what I was saying earlier, trying to find an LFG, trying to find a fire team for raids can be very challenging, given the fact that sometimes you're in a space, where you're ready to, sit there for a couple hours and, help someone get through the mechanics and understand the raid and do all that and have that time. Sometimes you do only have like an hour and you want people on your team who know what to do, right? Again, beware of, groups that say know what to do or kick, but, people that, are kindly saying like, hey, have some clears under your belt, know the mechanics, know multiple roles in the in the raid, and then being able to move forward. And so being able to understand that there is going to be that stress test. It is over the holiday period. Again, a lot of people are going to be traveling between Thanksgiving, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, to Christmas. Again, a lot of people are actually going to be traveling. So I don't know how many people are actually going to be on November 30th, but knowing that it is going to be a stress test. So if you'd like to be a part of that stress test within the beta test, just know that that is going to be available for you. And then overall, the beta test period, writ large for the whole program, is going to be happening in December through January. So again, pending that the system doesn't explode, we will have the ability to do that. We will start our stress test on November 30th, plan to run from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. PST. For the raid stress test, all raids you have access to are on the menu. We hope to keep the stress test open until 5 p.m., but this is where the "we haven't had a Bungie beta" and the live game disclaimers come into play. There are countless scenarios where we may have to end the test early, so we ask for your patience and hope you take it as an opportunity to give us early feedback as we work out the system's gremlins. We're going to be monitoring the results of the initial raid stress test closely and considering opening more activities as we progress, with the end goal of having a Fireteam Finder option for every activity in the game. We'll keep that schedule above updated as we learn more, and we'll also let you know in our Thursday TWID and our social media accounts. Again, this is super important, and some folks may not fully understand why they're starting from this place. But again, it's fairly easy. Again, I'm not a dev, I'm not being an armchair dev here, but again, it's fairly easy to find someone who is willing to work with you to do a campaign mission or just hop in and do a couple runs of Gamut. But the fact is that in-game material, things like Grandmaster Nightfalls, things like grinding out comp and PvP, and especially things like raids are more challenging. So it makes a lot of sense for them to start from that point and also kind of give the disclaimer that, hey, if you're a part of the Destiny 2 community, you know that when new dungeons drop, new raids drop, there's server issues, there's all different things that happen. So on top of that, just giving it grace at the fact that like you may go into the system and you successfully create a fire team and people join the fire team, but maybe for whatever reason people can't join, and it's not a you thing, it's not the other person thing, it's just a system thing because it's in beta. So again, it's just really important to give them that grace, again, especially because there is that reduction in staff, because you have devs who have already come out and said that they're doubling up on duties. Morale is low within the company, morale is low within the community. So again, they do want feedback, but again, this is like one of those key times when we talk about constructive, intentional feedback. This is the moment to be able to do that. So again, just keep that in mind as we are going to go into that on November 30th. Moving forward, it says getting into the Fireteam Finder. There are two ways to access Fireteam Finder. One, from the director using the roster tab. Two, using the Fireteam Finder access point found on every activity's launch screen. In both cases, you'll be able to search to a Fireteam or create a listing using a series of listing options to specify the group you're trying to build. Again, this is going to be super key, that the fact that it's literally going to be ingrained within the game. Again, no secondary app, no discords. Again, part of the unspoken thing here is the fact that Destiny 2 since Lightfall has had issues with people on PC being able to connect via their voice, including myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So the fact is, like, as great as this Fireteam Finder function is, I'm hoping, me personally, that they also can address the voice situation, knowing that because of like NAT type and other like things I don't fully understand because I don't create the internet and I'm not a dev. Those things also factor into being able to not just like join in to a fire team because you created on the actual game, but then also being able to utilize things like voice chat if you would. What you'll see in the stress test versus beta test versus launch. We're already prepping content for a few updates to Fireteam Finder, and you'll see things more come online for the beta, and even more as we march toward full release. A perfect example of this is the process and the view listing screen below. On the first one, you can see the stress test version, and then on the second is our target for final release. As you can see, we're releasing a very limited emoji set to describe your listings later in the beta phase. Those look like some friendly emojis. I hope they all stay friendly and they don't get too chaotic with the emojis we have access to. And then these updates will flow throughout Season of the Wishes launch and beyond to the final shape. So when we zoom in, we look at this a little bit more, we can definitely see that, you have your general, how many people you want on your team. Currently it says -1, but I'm assuming that this is going to be a space where you like 0 out of 3, 0 out of 5, 0 out of 6, whatever the case is. Looking for group, you have access to tags, and then obviously you have the activity. So again, you can show whether you want the mic or not, how many people you're looking for, and then you have your general, you know, call to action here. It says call in all guardians, only warlocks, only strand. So again, this right here, would be a reasonable fire team to join if you're like, hey, I have a warlock, hey, I'm on strand, we're trying to do King's Fall, we're trying to do the challenge, right? When we hop down, you can say that from just the initial launchings to what we can look forward to later is the fact that you have a lot more customization, right? So you have the tag that says experience. So again, you don't have to say know what to do or kick. You can look at a group and say, hey, we're looking for experienced people who are going to be using meta loadouts. I love that people are going to be able to say things with these type of tags that are very clear on the front end. So again, you don't have to guess when you hop into this group. They're not looking for you to do an all bows or all scout rifle loadout. They're saying like, hey, bring your best DPS and also be experienced. So being able to have those tags without using toxic language, I think it's going to be really key. Obviously, it's still going to be up to the community of how they actually engage with that and whether they actually do that, kindly. And again, you do have the ability to do some emojis. Again, I have concerns about emojis because it's the internet, y'all, and people use emojis in all the wildest ways. But hoping that, again, just even in this example, looking to help teaching kind gamers lots of time chill, that tells me right there that this group is willing to dedicate the time needed to get to the clear. They're looking for people who are intentionally seeking out this kind gamers tag. Hopefully this is actually a real tag that they're using in game. And then also, again, chill is just something that, is used in a lot of LFG in-game features, whether it's Destiny 2 or otherwise, where you're just saying like, hey, I'm just trying to chill, maybe with voice chat, maybe not, but again, just trying to have a good time. And the other piece is being able to have these listing details. So again, whether the mic is required or not, being able to be online, console preferred, PC preferred, these things are really detailed. And I think oftentimes get missed in the Destiny 2 Discord. It's the one that's not affiliated with Destiny 2, but again, it's the one that thousands of people use. The D2 companion. There's so many different spaces where you can like find LFGs, but what's missing to me is the fact that you have a lot of detail here. And this takes a lot of the guesswork out of trying to figure out if this is the right group for you. Because again, it says right here, very key things: looking for kind gamers, chill, mic not required, console preferred, they're teaching, all these different things. It tells you how many guardians are still in the queue, how many they need. So again, maybe this was 4 out of 6 instead of 1 out of 6. You can actively see how many people are going to be in the group, and then being able to judge for yourself whether or not this is actually a really good team for you. The last bit of what they have to offer is that existing group finding systems. We're also sure you have questions about what's happening to the group finding systems that currently exist on our website and companion app. Again, as we mentioned earlier, the D2 companion app. Both the website and companion app remain available until the new Fireteam Finder, both in game and out of game, is ready. Yup, Bungie.net team has been hard at work developing a new out of game Fireteam Finder that's fully integrated with the in-game system. However, it's not going to be available during the early beta period, which again is to be expected. The fact that having multiple systems running at the same time as a beta can actually be confusing. And also, again, I'm not a dev, but I can imagine potentially there could be some conflicts on the coding and make things actually worse for folks. So again, just know that that is going to be a dynamic at play with still having access to the website and the companion app. Again, if I'm being honest, I don't really know how many people are going to Bungie.net for an LFG, but I do know a sizable amount of people are definitely using the D2 companion app, as well as there are a number of major discords that have literally thousands of players who do LFGs. Again, folks who know about those know about those. Stay tuned for more info on the Fireteam Finder beta as it rolls out. Pardon our dust as we get this feature up and running, and thank you in advance for all your help. We're excited to give you and your fellow Guardians the tools to tackle everything in Destiny 2 together. So again, that is the update that we have from the dev team. Again, just want to tease out a couple things that really stuck out to me. One, just a reminder, you're going to have access to the Fireteam Finder. Again, we do have the beta, we do have the refinement period where they're going to take in our feedback, and then we're going to have the full launch in the final shape. Again, this has been pushed back, just to be very clear again. It's been pushed back not just because of the layoffs at Bungie, but also because they've previously told us that it's taking a lot more effort than they originally anticipated to get this off the ground. And again, as a community, I'd argue, I speak for a lot of folks, maybe not everyone, when I say I'd rather that we have a good quality system that they can do things like this in beta tests and get the kinks out versus them launching something that's trash that no one uses and ultimately makes the morale and the environment worse for players. So knowing that one, it is a little bit of a delay, but it's a delay because it gives us more opportunity to give them feedback and make it better overall. Two, you have access to all ends of the game. So if you are a Gambit main, and yes, there are Gambit mains out there, if you're trying to get raids done, if you're trying to just be in the Vanguard playlist, if you're trying to run campaign missions, the in-game Fireteam Finder is going to be a great opportunity for you to connect with other Guardians. And specifically, when we talk about connecting with other Guardians, you're seeing that there's going to be this really iterative system where not only are you very clear on the type of groups and activities that you're looking for, but you can get pretty detailed, not just because of like emojis. And again, I do have some concerns about emojis and where people can potentially take them because people can be vulgar with emojis. But then also, looking on the positive side, there are going to be opportunities for folks to be able to be very clear to say, hey, this is a teaching experience. The mic is not required. The mic is required. PC, console, you have the ability to really get detailed. And obviously, the beta is going to be a little bit less intensive, a little less detailed. That's to be expected with the beta. But once we get closer to the full launch, you see that we're going to have a lot of access to different details. And for me, I think this is going to be really cool knowing the fact that I don't have to use a separate app. I don't have to, join 5 different discords and look through all the listings. That if they get this right, this is actually going to be a really cool place for folks to join in, come together and say like, hey, boot up the game, let's get into it. And I'm really excited that the fact that you're going to be able to have access to all of this inside the game. We're going to be beta testing it, and ultimately, hopefully, we'll get to a place where this can actually help us get to a more positive culture, a more positive space where we're not out here seeing people say, I'm going to kick you from the fire team, or you have people using, slurs, or you have people like doing things that, again, these are things that currently happen, whether you're on console, fire team, trying to find a fire team on console, whether you're trying to use the D2 companion app, whether you're using a Discord. There are still so many people who are just toxic, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have an experienced team who's going to use meta loadouts and use things that are going to get you the clear fast. But also, there's nothing wrong with being able to have more spaces for teaching, people who are looking for help, people who are kind, who are intentional, people who are accessible, maybe who are okay with you having a mic, maybe not. But the fact is, having all these details to me is what's going to make more space for us to have better interactions with each other as Guardians. And again, the state of the game and other things that are going on aside, knowing that the fact that I've been a big proponent, even before I was creating content, about having a healthy feature like this. And for me, this is going to be a huge quality of life change. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be spending a lot of time. Actually, I haven't played as much this season 23, but I'm looking forward to putting in some time in the beta as well as in the upcoming season to test out these features, see how I can be a part of being a positive change and positive impact. And then ultimately, hopefully get into some cool shenanigans with folks. As I've said on this channel before, look at some of the videos I've had. I've had some of the more toxic experiences through LFG, but I've also had some really baller top-notch experiences. I've gamed with people from Sweden, from Korea, from Germany. We didn't all speak the same language, or some folks had an accent, like all the different things where it's just like gaming is this like central language that we're able to use. And a part of being able to have that central language, that central experience where everyone's engaged in this power fantasy of being a hunter, being a titan, or the best class there is, being a warlock, and engaging in the campaign, engaging in raids, all these different things. For me, being able to have a system like this is so pivotal. I'm so excited. And again, for better or worse, this beta is going to be out there. We're going to be able to experience it. We're going to be able to give constructive feedback. Again, I'm saying this to the community: constructive, intentional feedback. No, you don't go after devs. No, you didn't. Again, the developers and staff in Bungie are already dealing with a hard enough time. Don't be a jerk. But again, if you're going to engage in the beta, check it out. Test, again, this is the part, stress test it. But again, when you're giving feedback, let's give feedback with intention, with kindness, with care, and ultimately, let's give back in a way that can be helpful for making this system and overall making this game a place that we all want to continue to come back to. So again, that's my quick review and breakdown. I am going to cover it more in detail. I have another video. I have a couple ideas. Again, I've been away for a while taking care of some life stuff, but again, we're back. Excited to dive back into the content here and looking forward to this beta that's coming up, and hope you all join with me. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.